I love his ideas. I think he's authentic.
It's important that he be authentic.
She definitely needs to have that level of authenticity that has been missing from her campaign.
Every election cycle, you can count on politicians playing up aspects of themselves that everyday Americans can relate to.
I was just your average hockey mom and signed up for the PTA.
Romney told the jobless group that he is looking for work, too.
I'm also unemployed.
All you want to do is give it.
It's their attempt to seem authentic, but what does it mean to be an authentic politician? The word authentic is defined as being true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. So is this...
I love you. I love you too. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
I'm glad you're here.
Enjoy your beer.
Or this? A true representation of themselves, or a version of themselves that the American public are comfortable with?
If you're authentic, you're probably pretty good at the theatrical elements of politics. That's a pretty artificial activity, particularly if you're a nationally prominent politician who may have spent decades in public life. It doesn't always come easily to pretend that you're just like everybody else. George W. Bush was the son of a president and the grandson of a U.S. senator, but he was able to come across like just another Texas cowboy. But on the other hand, you could be authentically aloof and introverted. You know, Al Gore was mocked for being inauthentic in the 2000 election. I think in part because he wasn't very good at sort of faking the theatrical elements of politics. It is accurate to say that Al Gore is authentically an intellectual guy who's interested in big ideas, and that's not something that easily comes across in, 30 seconds on the stump.
2020 candidates are already leaning into the authentic approach.
So the jeans, you gotta dry out here.
Beto chronicled his life on the road during and after his Senate campaign, but he went to a private boarding school, Columbia University, and married into an incredibly wealthy family.
Judging a candidate based on his or her personality comes naturally, particularly in a situation like a presidential primary, where you have lots of candidates who are all the same party, who don't really differ very much on the issues.
And it's not just presidential elections. Rising political stars like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have reignited the conversation about the desire for politicians to relate to everyday Americans.
1 year ago, I was waitressing in a taco shop in downtown Manhattan. I just got health insurance for the first time a month ago.
Emphasizing the aspects of her personality that might appeal more broadly. Not that long ago, she was a waitress. She doesn't talk about that. She actually does have a background in politics, but she talks more about, I'm from the Bronx, not that I grew up in the suburbs.
But this strategy has been around for a while.
Our family was one of modest circumstances, and most of my early life was spent in a store out in East Whittier. It was a grocery store, one of those family enterprises.
I don't think a lot of people would compare Nixon and AOC, but both of them were kind of sharing the aspects of their lives that a person might identify with.
So when did this idea of authenticity enter American politics?
Over the past few decades, you've seen a shift to a more informal style of politics. In many ways, the cult of authenticity is a reaction to someone like Nixon, that when you had somebody whose career collapsed because of his own dishonesty.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
You had a public starting to value that sense of unvarnished authenticity a lot more, and that's why you had people like Jimmy Carter. It's Jimmy Carter, not James Earl Carter Jr. People are more and more aware of the theatrical aspects of politics and are become more suspicious of them.
An even better question might be, should we even care?
I don't think so. You can have authentic characteristics that aren't very good. Like Richard Nixon, who was a famously inauthentic appearing politician, was authentically paranoid and angry. There's probably something worthwhile in a democracy that politicians feel they need to appear like an ordinary person, even if they're not.